set up a shooting range in my house. No ear pro, no brass, no ammo, just this system right here. The question is, can this thing actually make you better, or is it just a glorified arcade game for gun guys? Well, let's find out in today's episode. And if you want to see me run through some of my top favorite drills in this game, then go check out We the Free. I'm going to have a bonus segment over there on that video on that network, so go check them out. I will put the link in the description down below. Ace is a virtual reality shooting game that pairs with a Meta Quest. There's really 3 parts to this system. First, the headset. That's probably your most expensive investment. It can range from $500 for a Meta Quest 3, which is what I'd recommend to run it with. Now, these things are everywhere on places like eBay or Facebook Marketplace, so finding a good deal on one for around like the $300 mark shouldn't be too hard. That's what we ended up doing, and as long as you know how to spot a good deal, it can save you a couple $100. The second part of this puzzle is the Ace handset. This is honestly one of the most cool parts about this Ace system. There are handsets modeled almost one-to-one with the real gun counterparts. It's actually incredible how realistic the models of these guns are. They even simulate the weight, trigger, and mag release almost perfectly. I have the Staccato HD P4 and it is so realistic to my real gun. I closed my eyes, had both the fake and the real gun in each of my hands, and I almost kept forgetting which one was in which hand. They do also have the option to get a holster for your handset as well. The wall on the trigger is pronounced, and I find it to be pretty accurate enough to the real thing, and I find it useful for trigger prep and follow-up shots. These handsets will run you about $200 each, but I do have a discount code, which is GunnyGal, for you guys to save a little bit of money there. Now for the third and final piece, the game itself. You'll want to download the Ace game from the App Store inside the Meta Quest system. The game itself relies on a monthly subscription model. Currently, it's $20 a month or $168 if paid annually. Normally, I wasn't stoked on having to pay a subscription fee for a game, but I think with how often they roll out updates and new drills and shooting scenarios, it's definitely worth hours on hours of virtual range time. Okay, so in total, this system will run you about $668 to $868 if we want to be technical, for a year's worth. That is if you don't already have the Meta Quest. Now that is a super high price to pay for a game. Or is it? Well, that all depends on if the Ace actually does the one thing it sets out to do, and that's to bridge the gap between range sessions and dry fire sessions. If this system proves to improve my shooting by even a slight margin, then it is in theory saving me hundreds if not thousands of dollars in ammo expenses. So I guess that begs the question, does it bridge that gap? Yes, but no, but yes, but kind of. Even though this video is about virtual shooting, you still need to go out to the range. This does not replace the live fire training. That's where Ammo Squared comes in. They are America's ammunition reserve. You pick from over 70 different calibers, set your monthly budget, and let it build up over time. When you're ready, you ship it. Simple as that. They store everything in climate-controlled facilities so your ammo stays in good shape until you need it. No hidden fees, no minimums, and shipping's free on orders over $250. For me, it's a solid way to keep training ammo stocked without having to think about it. It's also great if you have a small budget or wanting to build up a stockpile without spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars up front. And it's a good way to stay ready without scrambling last minute. So, Ammo Squared. Let's start with what I liked about the system as a training tool. I already talked about the handset a little bit, but I absolutely love how real it feels and the trigger resets, unlike if you're just dry firing with your real gun. So you can get a more accurate feel of the trigger break on follow-up shot. What I really appreciate is how much this pushes my visual processing. It helps me stay target focused and trains my eyes to pick up targets faster without getting sucked into the sights too early or too much. I've been able to work on smoother transitions and reacting quicker to what's actually in front of me, which has been huge for me as I'm really trying to push this speed this year. And once my eyes are working faster, it just makes sense to start layering in movement. This isn't just standing and plinking. You can actually work on shooting while moving, footwork, and quick target transitions. I've been using it to practice real USPSA-style movement, like entering and exiting positions or shooting on the move. It's awesome being able to dial in that timing and coordination at home, especially when range time is limited. And what really takes it up a notch is the fact that you can train with moving targets, stuff like Texas stars, clamshells, and plate racks. That's not something most of us have access to at the range. I know I don't. Being able to get reps in on these kinds of challenges have been a game changer. I've been able to experiment with different timings and engagement strategies, and honestly, it's helped me feel way more confident when I eventually run into these in matches. I do love how focused the system is on USPSA and IDPA-style drills, because these aren't just random targets. They're real scenarios that help you prep for actual stages. You can run something as simple as a bill drill to USPSA classifiers and get legit match style practice. Sure, there are a few fun thrill modes that you can do in there, but if you're training with a purpose, the competition focused content really hits the mark and translate well to the range. What really takes it to the next level though is the ability to simulate actual matches if you want to. You don't get to do a drill 100 times just to chase a perfect score. And yes, I am even guilty of that. But this setup simulates the pressure you'd feel in real competition, making each run feel more like the real thing. It's a great way to practice dealing with the clock, managing pressure, and improving that match day mentality. And then as soon as you finish a drill, you get instant feedback. It's not just a time, it shows you your hit factor, and you can even break down where you did well and where you can improve. That immediate data is crucial for refining your strategy and identifying areas for improvement. Now, for those who want a little bit of friendly competition, there's actually a multiplayer option. You can team up with a friend, and while they're shooting, you can both be on the range at the same time. And I will be completely honest, I haven't used it yet because, you know, I don't really have any friends, but I heard it's pretty fun. Maybe a little buggy from time to time right now as they work through the kinks and build it out a little bit more, but fun nonetheless, and adds a social element to your basement dwelling gamers that need some social interaction. My husband and I go back and forth trying to beat each other's scores, and side note, check out our live streams because I always win. But seriously, this game is great for turning training into something that's not only productive, but also fun. It's an awesome way to introduce your spouse to shooting, get some quality training in, and build solid habits like muzzle discipline during drills. Side note, it will DQ you if you break the 180. Don't ask me how I know that. Now, as much as I enjoy the system, it's not perfect, and I want to be real about that. There are definitely some things I think could be better. It's not a deal breaker because I do absolutely love this system. Chill. But it's worth pointing out if you're thinking about picking this up. If you don't have a lot of room, whether it's inside your house or in your yard, you might find yourself a bit limited on what drills you can run. Thankfully, there are plenty of stationary drills and you can filter those out when searching, but I've definitely had moments where I wanted to do a moving drill and couldn't really do it because I didn't want to go outside or didn't have the space in our small rooms. That's a me problem, not a game issue, because the moving drills are actually really fun. One thing I have learned from this game is that we need a bigger house and a bigger yard, or a yard that isn't tiered, sloped, and filled with random divots that I can roll my ankle in. But somebody please send a landscaper. And that actually brings me to my next point. It can be a bit of a learning curve to try to figure out how to set yourself up for a drill. You can move around in the game and adjust your angle or perspective, but if you're working with limited space and trying to do a drill where you have to move, then getting the camera framed just right can take some trial and error. If you're picky like me about where you're standing and what the field of view looks like, just expect a little bit of tinkering at first. It's manageable, but yeah, expect to spend a few minutes dialing it in when you're setting up a new drill. Now, let's talk about something that gets brought up a lot with virtual systems: recoil. It doesn't have a recoil other than the visual recoil on the screen, so you're not going to feel the gun moving in your hands like you would during live fire. But honestly, I'm okay with that. If they tried to simulate the recoil and it wasn't exactly right, you could argue that it could mess with your training more than help. Every gun recoils differently depending on many different factors, so faking it might do more harm than good. So honestly, I'm good with no recoil. One thing to keep in mind that right now the game focuses on pistol shooting. While I absolutely love shooting handguns, I'm excited for the possibility of adding rifle options in the future. Imagine running like AR-15 drills or other rifle setups. It would really open it up to even more training opportunities and add some fun varieties. I'm hoping they'll expand the options in the future, which would make it even more versatile for those looking to train across multiple platforms, but I don't have any insider knowledge on that. I just hope that is something they eventually add. Also, there's not an easy option to have your family members have a separate account and be able to switch seamlessly between the two. My husband and I just share one, and since we have similar scores and we go back and forth on who beats who in different drills, I'm not really worried about the scoring, but since it is technically my account, I just don't let him do the daily challenges or anything where it's an official run. I just want to keep my score high and don't want to risk that. Sorry, Tanner. But there is an option to turn on guest mode, so we have utilized that when letting our family members use it. I would say friends and family, but we don't really have any friends. One thing I've noticed from browsing social media and Facebook groups is that some people tend to game the system, which can be a little discouraging. For example, even when I feel like I do well, at least for my standards, I still end up way low on the leaderboard. I mean, I'm not the best by any means, but it makes me wonder how high up I could get on a fair playing field. Or maybe I'm just that bad. But hey, I'm about to shoot my first USPSA match this year, so we'll find out how I really do. Just don't say I told you so when I end up a D-class shooter. So let's sum this up a bit. In the beginning of this video, I said this would only be worth the money if it bridges the gap between live fire and dry fire enough that you will actually save money on ammo and time by developing skills off the range that you could not with typical dry fire. The verdict? It depends. I know you'll hate me for saying that, but hold on, put the pitchfork away, and please don't unsubscribe yet. I think it does in some cases. Those cases being competitive shooters who need to train strategy in each stage. This is such a remarkable tool to pre-run stages and test different methods of engaging targets that you simply could not do with dry fire. The real-time feedback along with realistic physics makes this a theory testing machine. My approach to the ACE is to think of a strategy, test the strategy, and refine the strategy, then take that to a live fire practice if I can. This is absolutely a tool I'd recommend to any competitive shooter to get a feel for the stages alone. Now, if you are a degenerate who likes to mag dump range trash, well, this may not save you much. It is, however, a very fun game for you hobby shooters who want to get their range fix in, but can't go for whatever reason. Probably because you're being a little bitch. Well, thanks for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you have the ACE, if you want to get it, or if you just like spending money on ammo at the range. And don't forget to use my code GUNNYGAL if you are going to get this game. Also, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next episode.